that from the previous verse, it was describing how when the elders are killed in the battle, then because the elders are no longer present, so the religious principles are not maintained. We generally see that the older people are more inclined and they're more religious and they encourage the religious activities. So that the older people, the heads of the family, they have that responsibility to maintain the religious standards, to maintain the piety within the family, to keep them religious and moral. So Arjuna was arguing, he was saying that when the older people are killed in the battle, then the religious principles will become forgotten about. And because the older people are not there, they're all killed in the battle, the young people may grow up to be irreligious, and they don't care about religious principles anymore. And when they do like that, when the men become irreligious, then the women follow them. Because, the men go to clubs and gambling and all these things. The women may also join them. And in this way, the women become degraded, they become polluted. And when the women are not properly protected and guided, and when they lose their chastity, then the result is, the degradation of women, that they lose their chastity, they lose their morality, and then you get unwanted children, unwanted progeny. And unwanted progeny are a very big problem in the society, in the world today, in Western countries especially. Countries like Australia, the young women, they prefer to have a child without marriage because then the government will take care of them. And they don't have to live with a man. They can associate with different men. They don't have to be tied down to one man. They prefer like that, many young women today. They don't marry, they just live with have a child by a man, and then they associate with different men. So the problem is that the children grow up in a family without parents. They may only have their mother. So it's not really natural. They lack the proper family atmosphere. And the result is so many young children grow up and they become drug addicts and they become addicted to so many sinful things because they didn't have a good upbringing. The home is very important in providing the right atmosphere for bringing children up. In the home, there should be practice of religion, and people are properly trained and educated to develop good character and morality. But if that's not there, then the children, they just grow up without any religion and they're totally immoral and doing all kinds of bad things. They have no good character. And this is what creates so many problems in the society. What do you think? You agree?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, this is definitely true that I like when I came to Geneva, I also thought there are not many families. Most of the families are broken, and yes, Guru Maharaj, and there are many drug
Really?
addicts.
In Switzerland also, huh?
Yes, means yes. I felt like that, Guru Maharaj. When we enter a home, there are 2-3 children and one child maybe from the previous father. They are like that. I was surprised. Yeah.
And then they grow up in
Yes.
an unnatural atmosphere. They don't have They haven't seen a good example of family life. So they also don't want to get married. They don't think to settle down and have a family.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. But
They
they
have
also
poor
feel like
character.
they could have a happy life without men because the government is supporting and the mother is capable of earning the money. But yeah, they feel like it is okay for a woman to live alone. It's their choice like that.
Yeah, right. We see actually the men also are not very qualified to take care of women. That's also a problem. That the men are not properly trained and educated. They marry just for sense gratification. They don't see any need to be responsible, to take the responsibility, to look after the wife and to look after the children. Actually, the scripture says that you should not become a husband unless you can deliver the wife from birth and death. And you should not become a parent of a child unless you can deliver the child from birth and death. So it's a responsibility. But Kali Yuga, people are very irresponsible. So here Arjuna is describing this degradation of the society. And he's worried, he said it will come about if the old people are all killed in the battle. Of course, later on Krishna will defeat all these arguments. So this is the first chapter. Arjuna is stating his case. He's giving his reasons why he doesn't want to fight. But Krishna will defeat all these reasons, one after another.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, you are telling you we cannot become a parent until we can deliver a child. So does it mean that some people are getting married and they don't want the child? I know one of my friend, she got married, but she says that I am suffering in the material world. Why I should have a child who will also suffer in the material world? Is that correct attitude, Guru Maharaj?
Well, of course, no, it's not really, that's not how it should be. No. Of course, some suffering is there in the material world, but we can minimize that suffering if we follow the religious principles. We have to know how to live in the material world. We have to understand the laws of God. And when we live according to the laws of God, then we can minimize all the suffering. Of course, naturally, some suffering will be there. Then we take a material body. We take a body, it will get old, it will get disease, it has to die. We cannot avoid these things. But marriage is really meant for having children. Marriage is meant to bring children into the world. But people don't know how to have good quality children. People are not educated in the religious principles. And if you have children without proper knowledge, then you cannot expect to get the same result. So the Vedas teach us how to get good quality children, to attract a good soul into the womb. People don't know. People need to be educated in these things. If people have their children in an irreligious way, then you cannot expect to get the same quality as somebody who follows the religious principles. Because it depends on the consciousness of the mother and the father at the time of conception will determine the quality of the soul which is attracted into the womb.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.